Okay, notes on my heritage travel trip series. So I am Tanis Leonhardi, and I'm first and foremost a geologist. Though these days I've been doing a lot of YouTubing. I'm a YouTuber. I have been, in the sense of watching videos since about a year after YouTube was actually initially founded and released. Yes, in that sense I was on the front end of adapting YouTube. I used it so much and it was kind of fun. I had a tech class. This is a digression about YouTube because this video is going on YouTube and is made for YouTube. And so I digress because I was in a web design class. We learned coding, HTML, and that kind of thing. I was 13 years old, and the class had if I'm remembering right, it was about 30 students and 2 women. I was one of 2 women. And I remember it kind of felt like home because I did use YouTube, and all of the guys knew what YouTube was, and were like, do you know YouTube? And I was like, yeah, I use it for music videos, mostly like music. But it was really cool. And so there have been periods in my life where I will literally just spend the entire day on YouTube watching videos. I'm a YouTube consumer in like a huge sense. And so I got my channel in 2013 and was like, someday I'll start producing stuff. I'm just not just a consumer, I'll get to the producing stage one day. So I'm slowly getting there. So that's a digression, but I'm a geologist and a YouTuber, and with my heritage travel, I've been documenting those, and so the primary focus, back to the approach, notes on my approach to my heritage travel trip series. And so first and foremost, they are focused about heritage, ancestry, so my family. These are lands where my ancestors came from, and the culture and the land and that kind of thing. And culture and land is very intertwined for my family, going back as well as current. And so I'm a geologist, so it's very much heritage and geology, because I can take my geology and geophysics expertise and go out in the field, and I can piece together, well, I know how this rock forms and that kind of thing, and look at the different rocks in a different landscape and know, okay, what does this mean in terms of, did a volcano erupt and form this, and how would my family have to have responded? So I can piece together a bit of the story of the people of a land through the geology. And so that's one of the cool parts of geology, is you can put human beings in a much larger context, the Earth history context. And so those 2 things are intertwined and joined, and I can't really separate them because I'm a geologist through and through. You can take the girl out of the volcano, but you can't take the volcano out of the girl. So, and so, yes, I specialize in, if you're interested, petrology. Petrology is the study of rocks. Mineralogy, which is the study of minerals, and volcanology, which is the study of volcanoes within geology itself. And so, which is the study of the earth. And so, that's the focus of my trip, is family and the earth, the land, the water, the air, that kind of thing, in Ire, or Ireland, for my next trip anyway. And so, for example, Ireland. And then, so that's one thing. The second thing is each trip is one at a time. So I've already done Scotland. I went to Scotland in July 2019. It was a 17-day trip. My next trip is to Ireland. Length and dates have yet to be determined. And then after that, I have a series that I'm going through, but it's one at a time. And the ideal, or initial, I should say, goal spacing was one trip every 1 to 2 years. And so that's the third part of the approach, is they're in series and there's a good amount of space to allow for preparation and decompression from the trips. I find decompression can actually last a while and be pretty extreme. And then, what was the last thing? Oh, each trip is 2 to 4 weeks. And that's the one I guess I want to elaborate on the most. Oh, each one is 2 to 4 weeks, and it's all solo travel. So I'm going by myself because I am pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and some of the countries they will each challenge me in their own way. And so pushing myself out of my comfort zone and being like, no, I can do 2 to 4 weeks in a foreign land by myself. I moved to Africa by myself. I knew absolutely nobody there, and I lived there for almost half a year, so more than 5 months and less than 6 months. I lived in South Africa. I was attending Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, and this links into the why is it 2 to 4 weeks. Well, and that's kind of what this video is about, is the biggest note on my approach is these trips, 2 to 4 weeks is not enough time to see a country, and I know that. And so essentially I'm viewing the trips as a teaser trailer, and my trip has been successful. This is how I gauge if my trip has been successful or not, is if I leave the country wanting to go back. And so essentially it means see a lot of things. So like in Scotland, I drove all the way around Scotland, including to the Outer Isles. I took a ferry out and back and that kind of thing. And so it's a teaser trailer, and I'm not trying to cover everything. The whole goal is to pique my interest enough to be like, this was satisfying and I want more. So it's solo travel because it's about me and me pushing myself. My ancestors lived there for millennia, thousands of years, and I should be able to rekindle that in myself if I want to understand my family and where I come from. And so that's a big note on my approach as to teaser trailers. That's what I would call these. Kind of a good mentality and approach, because I'm like, if I'm at a museum and I'm like, I could spend a few more hours here, but there's this other thing, it's like, well, maybe we cut this back and maybe I'll get back to it at a later point in life, but I got it hit enough that I feel good about what I've done. And then, let's see, the last thing, the 2 to 4 weeks. Why is it 2 to 4 weeks? I spent 6 months living in a foreign land in South Africa, or not 6 months, sorry. Between 5 and 6 months, approximately half a year living in a foreign land. And there are 2 durations that I found to be significant. The first duration was 2 weeks. So it takes about 2 weeks to adjust to a place and find a rhythm. And then the next big hurdle is 4 months. And 4 months is like I hit it and it was like, dang, I thought I was comfortable and now I'm just like way more comfortable. I found my groove 2 weeks ago, but I didn't realize that the comfort doesn't come in until like months later, 4 months later. And so it's like 2 months in, it's like, oh yeah, I'm super comfortable here. And then it's like, and hit 4 months in, it's like something I could only recognize in hindsight. So it's not like you be living in a place for 2 or 3 months and be like, oh, this is great, I'm comfortable. And then, but you still don't get that 4 month hit like milestone. And at least for me, it was big. And I've moved to different places in life, and 4 months is, for me at least, in Hawaii, it was closer to 6 months to adjust to a comfortable level. So it's 4 to 6 months. And California was closer to like 4 months to maybe 2 years to adjust fully. The initial I am comfortable was about 4 months, but then to actually feel like it was home was about 2 years. And so I'm like, well, I could go on heritage travel for 2 to 4 weeks where I hit that 2 week initial buffer, the duration of I found my groove. Or I could travel for 4 months, but I can't travel for 4 months. I don't have, like, I work and that kind of stuff. And at least at this point in my life, my job is not like I can go travel somewhere for 6 months at a time and just like up and leave everything. So for me, 2 to 4 months. And so, yeah, it's or not 2 to 4 months, sorry, 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 months. That would be like, if I finish all 8 of these trips in 2 to 4 weeks, maybe go back and do 2 to 4 months in each country and increment it up. So there is like the super long-term goal of that, if I could make that feasible in my life one day. But I'm sticking with 2 to 4 weeks for this 8 trips series. So see if I can remember. It's to Scotland, this is in order, to Ireland, to Germany, to Italy, to England, to Poland, to the United States of America, to Norway. So those are my 8 trips in the order as of current. That's changed a few times. So yeah, so those are the my notes, so more than one thing, but I guess the main takeaway for me at least is that one thing I can think of, my mindset for these trips is, it's a teaser trailer. It's okay if things go wrong, because in trailers and movies, when things go wrong, I'm like, I want to go see that movie. So it's kind of like, just laugh it off, get through it, and keep going. So yeah, and things do go wrong. So yeah, it helps me keep a maybe positive, and I would say more than positive, forward moving mindset, because with 8 trips over spanning, with my ideal 1 to 2 year spacing, that's an 8 to 16 year commitment. Positivity is great, but if I'm not forward thinking, I'm not going to make it through. So forward thinking takes precedent and priority over positivity in this case, because ingrained in my teaser trailer mentality, I have to leave satisfied and feeling good about what I did and wanting to come back. So that will, even if it's not in current moment positivity, in hindsight, it radiates light. So yeah. Yeah, so there's some notes on my travel. What day is today? It's Monday. I think it's Monday. It's the week, right? Yeah, well.